Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. I'm Brian. That's Melissa. This is Revit Radio. For those of you see a few new names on there. So for those of you who are new here, we this is all about you guys asking questions and us answering them. If you do have questions, the great thing that we always like to say is put it in the question and answer pod because it's much easier on Melissa and I. And then we also always have the chat open, so feel free to heckle us, point out anything else we're doing wrong, etc. inside of here. So it's always a good thing. And if you're prepared, like Rick always is, he always comes in with those questions. I think he's just got like a clipboard, a little note on his desktop, and he just saves those for the month and paste, 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 paste. Which I think is great because that's what this show is all about. So I also always like to start off with something a little bit before I get into there and start looking into stuff. I always like to talk about a little tip as I'm giving you guys time to think about those questions and or copy paste them. So I've been working with a lot of new clients recently, and it's something that I always like to talk about and show people. And I keep keeping my fingers crossed that in Revit 26, since we actually can place our views on sheet based off of their origin, that we in all views can start understanding where that origin of the view is, right? So I don't remember what release it was, like Revit 21 or whatever, in floor plan views or 3D views, etc., in any model views under the site category, we've always been able to come in here and say, cool, I want to see the internal origin. We've had this for quite a while. So if I go turn off those two things and say, okay, you're going to see that Revit displays right about here my internal origin for my file. And if I have linked files as well. That's great. That's pretty easy to know what it is. But when we start talking about what about a drafting view or what about a legend view, where are those going? So kind of tying this into a couple of different things. One, there was a new release for pyRevit yesterday. So pyRevit came out yesterday and said they have a new release, some bug fixes, some tweaks to it, etc. And I know a lot of people use pyRevit. There's one tool that I loved in pyRevit, and this is one of the reasons why I originally started using pyRevit, is one of the tools they have under the edit drop down is place an origin marker. This place an origin marker will put that into your view for you to understand and know where the 0, 0 of a legend or a drafting view or even a family when you start getting into it. So it's kind of a big thing for me to know what is going on here. Because I always laugh. I'll go into clients' offices and they'll have like all of these legends. And if they swap one note legend out for another note legend or whatever, they kind of move around on the sheet. It's because their origins are just all over the place, right? So if I come over here to my other symbols legend here and I'm like, cool, let me go place that origin marker. I've tried to be pretty consistent on all of my stuff and say, great, my origin is always going to be at that top right corner, right? It's my preference. You might do it wherever you want to do it. I do most of this stuff here. For me, in my view, I actually have this one as my template, which lets everybody know, hey, guess what? This is the view origin. This is my little like note block if I need to. So I'm always telling people when you need to do a new legend in a project, you right click and you duplicate this view with detailing. So you get the little block, you get all the notes, everything else. But more importantly, you get the two reference planes that are in this legend view to let you know where the 0, 0 is. So even if I deleted my little note block here or hit it, you'll see that I've got a reference plane here letting me know the top of that reference plane is where that legend view is. I also bring this up because I've been dealing with a lot of client content lately. And I went into one structural engineer and they had like 5 different architects title blocks that they work with consistently into their template. And inside of that template, I started editing title blocks. I'm doing everything I can to figure out where, rogue stuff is coming from. And one of those things that I actually noticed in their template was the title block was not where it should have been. So if I come into, we'll just go into the out of the box content. I will open up the title block, which I believe they have their own folder for. So if I just come in here and open up any title block, again, I could use that same place origin marker family when you get inside of there. So it's kind of one of those things for me that's a big deal when you go into this stuff is, hey, literally go in, place that origin marker so you can make sure it's consistent. I don't care what consistent means to you, but it is consistent. And again, same thing. Like I'll go into people's detail code or their drafting views, and they've got like wall section drafting views for typical things, and the insertion points just all over the place. Or sometimes I'll do a zoom to fit, and like the insertion points down here, and they drew everything way up here out in space. So oftentimes we start getting about that and we really start getting into these scenarios. It's like, oh, okay, here we go. Excuse me. Let's make sure this is all consistent. So as you're starting to go through, as you're getting into this, one of the big things for me is know where that is, set that up, use that pyRevit tool. I also, John Pearson, who used to be with Parallax and Melissa, he gave me another little add-in tool called Place Origin Marker. His does not work in title block families, but it works in normal families. And ironically, the pyRevit one works in title block families, but not normal families, but it does work in projects as well. And the one thing that John gave me on his, when I place his little tool in there, it actually zooms you to fit as well, which I'm not sure if I like the zoom to fit because you're like, oh, wait, what just happened? Sometimes it has been nice on families like I'm like really what just happened because I didn't do a zoom to fit and realize that the origin was way the heck over here. So it is one of those tools that's out there. It's the thing I keep understanding that every single thing has it. And where I really learned this was, I don't know, it's probably like 15 years ago. I had one client and they switched to Revit. They're like, I hate Revit. I can't copy things from one sheet and paste it into another sheet. It doesn't line up. I can't copy things from one drafting view to another drafting view. I'm constantly moving things around. And I literally went in, and what I had found out is somebody in their project at some point in time probably went down to like the sheets. And what they probably had done is like, oh, all the title blocks were there. They probably deleted the title block family out of the project, right? Once they deleted that title block family out of the project, you don't know on a sheet where is that origin. So I think literally somebody came into each one of those sheets, those sheets that were already there, and just said, cool, let me place a title block. And they just kept, rando placing them. Because I went in and they had like, I don't know, 50, 60 sheets in their template. Not a single one of them lined up. It was really bizarre to me. I'm like, that's
Crazy.
pretty hard to do.
Yeah, that seems like it would take way more effort than pasting them aligned.
Well, and then the other thing for me on that too is, like I said, that structural engineer is a consultant. They've got a lot of their sheets already set up. And as they swap title blocks out from one architect to the other architect or whatever, those title blocks are going to move. So if you're in the consulting role, you're working under somebody who's supplying you that title block, being able to edit that title block family, going into that title block family and saying, cool, let me place the origin marker inside of here, then taking that architect's title block and moving it to the origin that your title block is set to before you swap it out will save you days of work of trying to readjust and move everything around. So that's kind of one of the other things for me is if you're in that consulting role, right? Come over here, place your origin marker. And like I know for me, I've been tweaking mine. My origin is actually in the upper right corner of the display. So I'd be like, cool, let me go move this title block to here. Now that I've moved that title block to there, now when I swap title blocks out, all of my sheets are going to remain where they were. So it's kind of a big thing when you get inside of there and deal with that. So yeah, everybody's going to be different. Some firms are going to be wherever. Just make sure you understand that every single view in Revit does have an origin. Yeah. Bud's like, I didn't know that tool exists. That's literally one of the reasons why I started using pyRevit. I downloaded it. I'm like, I'm not sure about a lot of the stuff in here because half of the stuff is new from what was there. But this has always been there. The place origin marker I probably use second most. The one I use the most is wipe empty elevation tags. So everybody goes and deletes views in the project browser, and now you've got elevation symbols all over the place that are blank. They don't hurt anything. They just bother me.
Yeah,
They hurt
really.
my soul.
I think that's the very first Dynamo script I ever wrote was to get rid of those.
Yeah, they've had this since before Dynamo even existed. So I've been using that out of pyRevit
And
forever. So yeah, you can then once you know that origin, you can go in, Bud, and put reference planes in. So like I said, I have a drafting view template. My drafting view template is the same thing, although my drafting views go from the bottom right corner. My legends go from the top right corner. But yeah, so I have this inside of here as well. And I always tell everybody, and at the very least with my clients, I might just have this like, hey, cool, here's the endpoint, here's the origin, draft from there. I get even more specific in like a lot of client stuff. If we create, I call them templates, but we've got like a drafting view template for wall sections. We've got a drafting view template for all of the different types of details that they might be doing that have additional reference planes in them. So, hey, if you're going to put the stud down, put the studs here. So when they place those onto the sheet, everything lines up for them. So that's kind of one of the big things for me. So I didn't mean to preemptively answer Rick's question. Uh,
Boom. That was awesome.
boom.
Do you have any other like preemptive answers for people?
Not that I'm aware of. So.
Nothing has just come to you so far. Well, I guess you want to roll right into
Let's
his
jump into
first
some
actual
questions and
question.
hopefully we'll get more than just the three that are up there.
All right. Well, I feel like it's probably a decent segue to just go to Rick's first question, not the one that you preemptively got to. He asks, is there a way or a good workaround to get a sheet list listing every revision on a sheet? So sheet A101 has had revisions 2, 3, 5, and 8.
Unfortunately, out of the box, no, Revit does not let us do that. So you're going to need to do some sort of add-in utility that will do that. I believe since we're on pyRevit, they have one in here as well, generate a revision report, find all sheets with revisions. They have a few different tools on here. I'm not 100% positive on those. I use Ideate BIM link quite often because it'll let you know which revisions are there, etc. So yeah, out of the box, it's a complaint that people have had for years. Like, I really want to know all the revisions on all the sheets and what's going on with those. So unfortunately, to my knowledge, no, out of the box, I have not found that way. Because all we get in a schedule is current revisions on sheet, which is really irritates me. I would even like you to be able to add those fields in my schedules. Like, hey, even if I add a new revision and I got to go add the field to my schedule, I would be okay with that. But yeah, if we come down here to a drawing list, sheet list, and we go look at the fields, the only thing you ever get is current revision. So unfortunately, out of the box, no, there is no way to know that. So sorry, Rick. Look into those pyRevit tools. I personally use Ideate. I go out to BIMLink and I export all the revisions out to BIMLink. That's how I do it. But I don't know, Melissa, how do you guys do? I got a Dynamo script, I'm assuming it says report all this.
Yeah, basically, just takes everything out to Excel.
Yeah.
But I mean, why would we ever need to know all that? Yeah, no, that is like one of those weird, long-standing, but why? It's literally there. How can we not just see it
Yeah.
all?
Yeah. It's like, oh, so in pyRevit, yes, follow up in the chat. In pyRevit, it's one of the ones under revisions. I forget if it's find all revision sheets. Um, all sheets with a specific revisions. I think it's just find all revised sheets. I don't remember. It's one of the ones in here.
Maybe generate revision report.
Yeah, I think that's the one it is. But I think you have to check all of them. And then you say select. And then I believe it comes in here. Cool. I have not a single sheet with a revision. And then I think it'll start listing, hey, here's revision one. No, I think this just gives you the revisions.
Was that?
Yeah, I don't think this actually tells you the sheets. Okay, well, let's go put a revision on. Well, let's put a revision. I don't know if I have any views on sheets, so sure, we'll just come in here and do a revision cloud in here. View revisions. Oops, I did that. Annotate. I never do revision, so I always forget where revision clouds are because I don't do real project work. And then we'll go back to pyRevit.
Oh, I thought it was because you did everything perfectly the first time.
Yeah, far from that. When I
Just easier that way.
when IDA came out with their spell check tool, um, yeah. See, I don't think this one actually tells you what sheet it's on. No, it does. I lied.
Okay, I was like, it would be kind of useless without that.
Yeah, I think there's another one that gives it even better. It's like final sheets mission revision, final sheets within a selected revision. No, I don't remember. Like I said, I don't use this a whole lot, but I know a lot of my clients use it and figure it out. And Joseph says
A
pyRevit
revisions.
has a handy tool that lets you select multiple title blocks from sheets without opening the sheets to select them. One thing is if you got to swap them all out, you can always just do a select all instances in the entire project.
Mm.
So you can do it that way if you've got to swap it from yours to the client A, B, C, or D. I do that quite often. Or for me, I have some where like all the guides are turned off. So before I print, I might go select all of them there. I don't know about that tool. Joseph, which tool is it? And does it allow you to specify sheets or is it just trying to see if I even see what tool you might be talking about? Yeah, well, which tool is it? Is it the sheets tool?
List/select title blocks on sheets.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so then you can grab whichever sheet you want to select those title blocks. I hate it when, there we go, it's title blocks. Well, that'll tell you the title blocks you're using.
Select all.
Oh, oh, then select all. Yeah, I just do select all instances here like this. So that's how I swap out title blocks.
Mm.
I also used to have, because the way my title block's set up, there's an nested generic annotation for the key plan. And I basically had some Dynamo sheet that said, hey, if this says, level one, then it would turn on level one, or not level one, like sector A, it would turn on the sector A key plan as well. So I had something Dynamo script that I haven't used in a while, probably broken, it's been so long, but basically would look off of the sheet name and then turn the right key plan onto that sheet. Yeah, and that is a good thing you point out, Joseph. I do laugh oftentimes. Like I'll be like people like, oh man, I need to go add a revision on this sheet. So I see people come down and be like, okay, let me open up this, let me open up the sheet, so they can come over here and click on the revisions on sheet dialog. I very rarely see people when dealing with sheets grab or views, grab multiple things and change it here. I rarely see people do that. It's like in the project
Mm.
browser, you can multi-select views, you can multi-select sheets, you can multi-select schedules, and then change data in the property.
Well,
I see
didn't
people
that
const
break?
huh?
I feel like that broke for a year or two. You
It
could
was
select
only
things,
broke.
but you couldn't actually change anything.
It was only
Yeah,
broke if you had multiple monitors and you did not have the project browser and the properties docked within Revit. So I know a lot of people will pull these off and like have it up here on their secondary
that's
screen.
fair.
That was for several years a bug. I personally have always kept these docked because it's even been repeated a few times for
Mm.
that reason. There's still been occasionally it'll come back. So for me, these are always docked within my Revit because if they're docked, that has never been a bug. It's only when you pull the pallets off.
Oh, that's good. When I only had 27-inch monitors, I always pulled mine off to the other side.
Yeah, I've always worked on a laptop 90% of the time. And up until working from home, I've never had a second monitor. So it was just here. But even when I had the multiple monitors, I still keep it docked.
Whatever, I had three, so I put them way on the other side.
I know I'm used to Navisworks. With Navisworks, you open up all the tool palettes you need. You got like a 1 inch by 1 inch screen in the middle of your Navisworks. You got like a little screen right here going, cool. That's what I have to work in. So there you go, Rick. No, there's not, but download the new pyRevit that came out yesterday and go through and look at that one.
Woohoo. All right, people aren't bringing the questions. Just saying.
I know everybody's like quiet. We're not even getting heckled at the chat or anything.
I know. Come on, Jason. I feel like all your comments have been very productive.
And everybody's like, yeah, we're too busy working. So
Yeah,
what do we
that's
got
fair.
next?
You just gotta start at 5 a.m., people. Come on.
Right.
All right. Oh, of course, Beth starts at 6. Of course she does. Well, since we're talking about weird Revity things, Jason did say got a new computer and is working in 2023. And I feel your pain because I currently have 2023 open for just some template work, Jason. So um But he said this morning it's running like molasses. There's nothing modeled, so it's churning from the linked models. What can I look at to help with that? Could it be the computer? It's a new computer with an OK graphics card that has 128 gigs of RAM.
Oh, one of my clients just had a very similar issue, and it was some stupid setting in some registry that was like off by a number, and I don't remember what it was. Like they
Oh,
kept having somebody who was like going slow as molasses and like, what is going on? It's a new computer.
okay.
It's all there, and I don't remember what it was, but there was some registry that you had to change like from a 3 to a 6 or something stupid. I don't remember to get it to work, or delete the registry and it would recreate it and then it was fine. I don't remember what that was though. So I can't help you that. I mean, you can always try to figure out which one of those links are the bad one, right? You can try, opening it with one link closed, one link open, etc., and just start to see which one makes it churn and maybe look at their file. But it doesn't ever help you when you're the consultant working with architects and engineers who have bloated files. So, but yeah, there you also look into that. There was something recently with one of my clients that literally just got a new computer, and a couple of the versions of Revit were just dog ass slow. I'm like, what is going on? It was a stupid registry key or something like that. So I don't remember. I don't even remember which client was telling me that. So yeah, without being able to see there, but that's one thing I would look at when you get inside of there. The other thing that I also like to tell people when their computers start running slow, and most people don't know this, if you go to your C drive and you go to the Autodesk folder, underneath your Autodesk folder, you're going to have these three folders. These are your downloads for when you update Revit. If you're using Autodesk Access, the little tool down here that comes up and says, oh, cool, you've got updates to do, and you install from Autodesk Access, it puts it in this folder. If you actually go online to manage.autodesk.com and you start pulling that stuff down, you get in there. That goes under the WI, which is the web install. It puts all of these here. So anytime you run an update, Revit down or Autodesk, I don't care if it's AutoCAD, Civil 3, whatever, downloads all of this stuff and puts it into this folder. So first off, if you ever need to go find an old update, you're like, crap, I can't find it. More than likely on somebody's machine, they have all of these updates on there. But the other thing I always like to point out about that, when you really start getting into some of these folders, you can start to see, yeah, it can be gigs worth of gigs of data. So just something else. I'm not saying this has anything to do with your issue, Jason, but you can see my web install is 86 gigs and my access is
Yowza.
7 gigs. So I have over 90 gigs of downloaded stuff. If I was like, oh crap, I just looked at 66 gigs. Yeah, and this literally is just the web installs. You can delete all of those. You do not need to keep them. You can delete them. Theoretically, they fix the old issues of sometimes you go to try to run in like a patch or a service point release, and be like, oh, I can't find the original installer. That's because you probably cleared it out of here. But nowadays you should be okay to do that. But yeah, that's literally all this is. And it'd be really nice if I knew what that was. You've got to get into all of here and be like, oh, this was the Autodesk Identity Manager install. I don't know why they insist on burying this like 5 freaking folders deep. It's like, cool, go into here. Oh, this is the licensing tool that I installed from here. But yeah, you do have all of that when you get inside of there. So that is a big one to clean up as well, again, especially depending on your computer size. Not saying it has anything to do with Jason, but just people know that this comes up in there. The other thing too that a lot of people may or may not know, I have a shortcut to do this. I'm in and out of it so much. That your Revit journal files. So every time, even if you're using cloud files, doesn't really matter. I'll get to it here. Inside of your Revit folder. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Journals get where the heck are the journal files? I can't think of those out. But anyway, this is going to be your Autodesk cache. So when I get into here, you see these like collaboration cache, etc. That's for your Autodesk Construction Cloud stuff. You get the collaboration cache. You get that's your user. You get the projects you're in, etc. But once you start getting inside of here as well, then that journals folder. Every time you open up Revit, it gives you the journals, and quite often you'll have Revit files in here too. Probably shouldn't have went to Revit 26 because there's probably no Revit files in there. But you can get into some of these files. Like these are some of the buildings that I've been into as well. And these are still cloud models. These are just Revit's going, oh, I'm going to give you a journal file inside of here. And I've also seen this before get into. I have no idea. When did I open that last in December? So I've seen these files get into be the gigs large as well. So if you are again getting into some of that, hey, we're running into problems here, that's another place to go in and start looking to clean out as well to potentially help speed up your machine. I
Mm.
personally have scripts that I run, so this one's 160 gigs. So between my Autodesk 2 installer folders and this here, I have a quarter of a terabyte. That's not even
Yeah, two
including
terabytes is the
programs.
least amount you can have.
So maybe time for me to
Uh,
clean some of those folders, but
I was also thinking there's probably some of the graphics settings under options. You might try playing with the smooth lines and
yeah,
the
under
allow
graphic.
navigation during redraw, some of that stuff for 23. And then we can all thank our lucky stars that the performance actually is getting better with every release. You can
Yeah.
also just go squeaky wheel on your job team and be like, 23, come on, people.
People. I laughed at a client that I kept
You're
trying to tell
killing
them
me.
they needed to upgrade. They needed to upgrade. There was a whole bunch of bugs in the file that I knew was fixed in 24. They finally upgraded
Mm,
25, and it was like, oh my God, the syncs are like twice as fast. It's like half the time. Everything's faster. I'm like, yeah. So I've been telling you guys for 2 years to upgrade this freaking project.
yeah. I definitely, my last office we had like one project that went poorly on an upgrade, but it was clear back in like 2010 or something.
Yeah.
And
It-
from then on, people were completely terrified to upgrade.
yeah.
And I'm like, if you're in the middle of your CD push, yes, don't upgrade. But other than that,
Yeah, I get
why?
people like, should we upgrade? Yes, but yes. I mean, there's no reason. No, don't get me wrong. And Jason can probably talk about this a little bit more. The MEP time, I see things get deleted,
It's fair.
and 90% of things get deleted. Somebody drew a duct this way, then drew a duct this way, and the duct are drawn in the opposite directions. And so those are literally modeling issues that have warnings within Revit already. And
Mhm.
Revit, when you upgrade, usually says, yeah, I got to get rid of the one going the wrong direction. So I've seen that happen during MEP upgrades. Piping the same as well. I've seen the directionality of things go. But other than stuff like that, if you're structure and architecture, there's absolutely no reason why you are not upgrading projects. 2017, we had the text issue where text got bigger and Autodesk made a big
Yep.
issue. And I thought it was hilarious because I literally, like my clients who upgraded projects in the middle of it, I think total with all my clients, I only spent like 2 hours cleaning projects. Oh, this tag got too small. Great. Let me widen out this tag because now it's like, word wrapping. Let me widen the one tag, open it. Your text boxes,
Hmm.
most of them were fine. It just depended on the font you use. But yeah, it was not as big of a deal as I think a lot of people are going to be thinking it out to be.
Yeah. Uh,
So I don't know. Yeah, I upgrade all the time. The performance you get during just on each version, it's totally worth it. Well, who uses Bank Gothic font? Come on, Rick. Who uses Bank
I know.
Gothic? I,
Comic Sans all the way.
I honestly don't even think I've ever even looked at Bank Gothic.
Or Papyrus. You should be Papyrus.
Oh wait, oh, I hate when I do that. Da-da-da. I gotta go see what Bank Gothic looks like now. Well, yeah, that's a freaking very wide font. I mean, look at how wide we went from there to there. No, thank you. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care about font.
Ugh. Fonts are still so crazy because Aaron has a very lovely file that he keeps
Yes.
text in because every time we have to change for a client, some of them get way wider
Yeah.
and some of them still don't work on the cloud. They get substituted for Arial anyway.
Yeah.
It's,
Well,
so
that's the
it's
biggest thing. Well, actually, I
ridiculous.
found it very interesting. I read an article like a month ago that the Arial font, a lot of default programs, like the font you saw in the program, used to be Arial because it was there. But with the new graphics and the way things are changing, Arial actually isn't as legible. So they're actually starting to get away from Arial. And I forgot what they said. A lot of the programs are starting to go to.
Aptos is the new Windows
Is it
one.
Aptos? Thank you. I can't remember which one it was. So now I'm just waiting for all of the people, the new Revit template to come out with Aptos.
I've been Aptosing things over here because we know how to party.
Aptosing. Oh, Jason
Yes.
threw a comment out there, 3/32 or eighth-inch tall text. The only reason I would say eighth-inch tall text is because there are archaic standards out there, like using the Army Corps of Engineers. They force you to do that. So if I am going to be forced to use it for one product, one client, I might as well go ahead and use it everywhere. Most of my template is set up on 3/32, but a lot of my clients are like, nope, we do government work occasionally, so everything's eighth inch. So that's kind of a thing there.
Yeah.
All right. So what are the questions we got going on here?
Let's see. So Chris says, I'm seeing as I start using 2025 regularly that when loading the program, it takes forever to get recent files to load into the new Revit home. Is this common, and do you know how to improve this time?
Usually when recent files are taking too long to go, it's where the location of those recent files might be. If your recent files are like somewhere easily accessible, but if it's got to go to like if you're going through an FTP site that's on your server, or sorry, through VPN that's on your server, those are going to take longer to load than something that would be like a local model on your file, or even something that's on the cloud. So often it's churning out because it's going to all of those file locations to find it. The other part that could be potentially horrible is if you happen to open up like a central file or a local file of an architect and they had the same drive letter you had. So you have an X drive letter, they have an X drive letter. And when I was looking at it, it's trying to parse through your entire X server, the drive letter X on your server to find their files. That can be a problem as well. So even though you might have detached their file and put it on there, if they had other links going in there pointing to the same drive letter you might have, that has historically slowed Revit down. Yes, in 25, I find the new home screen to be slower in general, so I just don't even have it on. I also don't like the recents in the new home because I can sort these by the type, but I want to break down between families and content. I don't just like the list here. I mean, even if I come in here, then I've got to actually stop and I get different icons, which is kind of nice, but I don't need all this other data. So I'm not a big fan on recents. However, I do like the Autodesk projects. I also love the way it's called Autodesk projects here and not in the new home. It's called Autodesk docs. I do like this interface much better. So oftentimes, if I'm doing a lot of just cloud-based, I'm looking at Autodesk project stuff, I might come in here because I get to see all the different clients up here. I get to see this, and then it gives me this nice little scenario inside of here as well. But no, for me, most of the time, I don't do the recents because I want these broken. I want my models up here and I want my families down here. Damn it. I want those separated easily to see. But again, I'm a person who's probably in families more than I am models. I also learned recently, and I think it was Revit 24. I could be incorrect. I know it's in 25 and 26, but there's also a setting in the Revit INI. When you go to like Autodesk Docs, it only lets you see projects that are your current version of Revit. There's actually an INI setting to turn that off. So if you really wanted to go in and see all of the projects that you would have on Docs, not just the ones done in Revit 25, there's an INI setting to change that as well. I think they came out with that when they did the new Revit Home button over here as well. So no, that would be why, Chris. What's going on with there? If you're noticing it happens and it keeps doing it, I would go into your INI file, delete out the recent files list, open up Revit, see if truly that's what's causing the problem. Then if it is, you'll see it's going fast until you get to X project on the recents. Then you're like, oh, it's that project that it's freaking out on. So that would be my troubleshooting tip for that. But no, I personally don't like the new Revit Home. I've left it in 26, but I'm not using it in 25. I don't know why I've left it in 26 because I'm probably not in there enough yet. No, I lied. I don't even have it on in 26. Nice, nice. I was leaving it on in 26 for a while so I could tell the difference between the two when I was switching back and forth. But
Oof. I was just trying to open 25 to have a look if mine took forever. And try one, I got a licensing error. Try two, I did it. And if I hover over the icon, I've got like 12 little Autodesk splash screens across the
Um,
bottom of my screen.
oh, down here.
I feel
I
like
love
that's bad.
I love it when that happens.
I did not open it 12 times.
So I don't know if anybody saw this was having a licensing issue the other day that you literally had to not just sign out of Revit, you had to go down and sign out of Desktop Connector,
I'm
reboot
wondering,
your
it's
machine, and then
probably
come
just
back
hitting
in, open
me.
up a product, not Desktop Connector first, open up a product like Revit, log in that way, and then it would pick up on Desktop Connector. I had like 6 clients going, I can't open up my Revit. What's going on? I'll see, look, you can see right here. There's my origin marker. There's the title block. Told you I was working on that recently. And all three of these title blocks have different origin markers. All consultants title blocks for the structural engineer. All right, so what's our next question?
Let's see. Well, now that I know how to fix my licensing error, if I ever get to work in 25. Let's see. Let's go with Sarah. Sarah says, "How do you put a parapet cap on a curtain wall?"
You don't.
I love the good talkings.
So if you do have a curtain wall, I think I had curtain walls. Do I not have curtain walls modeled in here somewhere? Guess not. Um, so curtain walls obviously do not have the capability to go in and put sweeps or anything on top of those. So if you've got a nice curtain wall on here, right? You're like, cool, I want to go back now and I want to put a parapet cap on that. You can't technically put a parapet on top of a curtain wall. Because why would you? It's a storefront. It would not host a parapet cap. It's also a very short curtain wall because I wasn't paying attention.
I'm sorry, but why would that not host a parapet cap?
Because it's not structural. I don't know. Because it's curtain wall. So I've seen this done one of two ways. One way is to, especially if you already have a wall going across there, or you've got other walls with that same parapet cap. One of the ways is to literally model a wall, make sure your curtain wall has this automatically embed checked in it. If this has the automatically embed and check to it, you can draw a normal wall over it, come back in and put your curtain wall underneath it. It will cut the hole out, get rid of the wall, and then you have that parapet cap there. The other ways to do that is literally just do your model in place, because even if you try to go wall sweep, it doesn't let you pick a parapet wall or a curtain wall to put any sort of sweep on. You then obviously could go do model in place and do an in place sweep if you wanted to do it that way as well. I usually opt for the draw wall that has that cap in it, put the curtain wall inside of there, and it cuts it out. That's usually what I opt for. Any particular way you guys do that, Melissa?
Yeah, not specific. I'm trying to think. I know that we did it in my old office.
I've also seen
It
people do
probably,
bizarre things like it's not a floor slab edge. What was one of them? I swear something was it a roof soffit? No, it's got to be a roof. Somebody used some weird tool, or maybe they just drew a 3D line around it and then did a roof soffit. Yeah, or a fascia. They could do a
yeah,
roof
you could do a
soffit or
model
fascia because you
line.
can attach that to a model line. But I'm like, oh my God, it's so much harder to control a model line than just draw the damn wall and have it cut out the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking we probably had a backup wall as part of the construction anyway, so we just attached it to the backup wall.
So, so I think those are your options. Not saying either of those are the best, but I think those would be your options. Yeah, and I think it is one thing that a lot of people don't know. If you do a model line, let me go draw. That's text, not model line. If you go draw a model line and you put some model lines in here, right? You can do fascias, slab edges, on model line. So if you were to come in here and be like, cool, I want to go do a roof fascia or gutter, you can pick model lines for that. Or if you also go do a floor slab edge, you can also pick model lines for floor slab edge. So either of those
Yeah.
would technically be true, but then you've got to deal with that model line, making sure the model line's at the correct elevation, which you don't actually get an elevation. So then you've got to set up a work point. Yeah, I'm just kind of like, no, I'm good. I'll just draw a wall and have the curtain wall cut out the wall out.
Yeah, that's fair. I have actually been using the model line to do the slab edges on some of our construction modeling lately. So you can get the turn downs at all the doorways and stuff without cutting all the walls.
Yeah.
And I have a fun new thing since I now can't do anything. Anytime I click at all, I just get the little ding ding. So I can't. I think between Revit and Zoom, my computer's now like, yeah, nope.
Your computer's like, Melissa, it is 5 a.m. I want to go back to sleep. I'm just gonna break on
Yep, screw you. You don't
you.
get to do nothing.
Yeah, so God, there was something else. Slab edges, floor lines. There's something else that you could use a model line to pick for. I can't remember what I'm thinking of.
Ah, yes,
So
and Michael's pointing out that you can't do a slab edge for a sloped floor, but you can for a model line that's sloped. That it is absurd. I concur.
not technically true. If the floor starts off flat and then you slope it, the slab edge will attempt to follow. So
Attempt.
if you start with a floor that's flat and you finish and you put slab edges on that floor, I always want to click where roof is for floors. Slab edge, you can put a slab edge on this floor. And then if you come back, and I think even if you do the modify sub elements and you pull this up and say, cool, go up a foot, you can have the slab edge there. Now, I didn't say it was going to follow along with it, but the slab edge will go, will be there. But if you also then just do define slope, I think it'll work here too. And that way, reset shape. If you do a defined slope, it does slope with it. It's not going to do a compound curve and figure this out around the corners, but as long as it's flat first, it will let you do that. Is this actually great in reality? No. Technically, you can, but and so his point was correct. You can't pick it from a sloped floor, but if your floor is flat, you can put flat. You can host it on there. But like I said,
Well,
you get shit details here.
luckily floors are usually just completely flat, so that's fine.
Totally.
All right. Well, I can't click that got answered because I just get the ding, 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 ding.
Great. Now you have it up there, so I'm gonna have to see it there the whole time.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, since you're doing it, Rick asked if you can put a slab edge on a ramp.
No, Jim.
I can't put slab edges on anything right now, Rick.
I can't do.
I can't
Um,
anything to anything.
one little tip I always like to show on floors too, and I don't think everybody knows this, but if you're trying to do a ramp, I almost never do a ramp. I don't, you can technically use a slope arrow here too. I don't. But if you grab a sketch line in a floor, you can come up here in the properties. It's not in your options bar, it's only your properties, and you can say this defines a constant height, right? You'll see the color even turns
Consistency.
blue. When you say defines a constant height, you can then give it an offset from a base, or you can associate it to a level. So I could be like, cool, that one needs to go to level one, and this one up here needs to go to level two, and now it will stay there. So if you start changing your floor to floor heights or whatever, it will start going through and adjusting. So oftentimes for me, if I'm doing a ramp and I happen to have like a level or something in there, I will do it that way as, oops, not what I wanted. I will do it that way as well. But again, you also don't have to say it's associated to a level. I can be like, cool, no, you just need to be 4 feet off the ground, right? So you can do this as well without having to do the modify sub elements, do a slope arrow. You can also do defines constant height. So just let your people, those lines do have to be parallel. If I even take this and just shift this slightly, Revit's going to be like, yeah, no, screw you. Can't do that.
At least that kind of makes sense. Their error. It will actually tell you what's going on.
Yes. And it's like, no, because it can't try, because you're trying to warp a slab at this point in time. And it's like, yeah, I don't know how to do the warping in that scenario. No. But yeah, that is there. So I often do that. It's like, oh, I know this needs to be 18 inches above. I don't do ramps. I don't want to try to calculate that out. I just know I got to go from here to there, right? And then, of course, this is Revit to make sure I'm actually following somewhat within code. I then go to my annotate and say, am I being a spot slope? Am I okay there? And I'll do like, I often have these set up to be like percentage versions, right? I have a duplicate, sure. And I'm going to go ahead and call, instead of doing this as this, I can come up here and say, no, I don't want rise run. I want a percentage. I want a per mile. That's new. I need to do a slope per mile. Cool. I've
That's
never seen
awesome.
that before. So you can set up one that's like percentage or 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, whatever you want it to be. And then, have slopes saying, hey, that's a 13-degree percentage slope. I should put a symbol in there. So you have all of those options as well. All right. Do I need to go through the questions since you're broken?
Well, I think I can see them. I just can't interact with them.
Great. Then you tell me what we're reading and I'll check it out.
Okay, so we did the 2025. Oh, I know. That's super great. Thanks, Revit and Windows. Yay. Um, okay, let's go with buds first. So, in using a CAD survey or civil site drawing, they always have a global coordinate that could be thousands of miles away. When linking it into an architectural model as a site plan underlay, it always brings up the message saying geometry is more than 20 miles away. Don't we love that? And causes the line work to be jagged and graphically not aligned with reality. What is your recommendation for bringing in civil CAD plans without making your own cleaned up copy?
So the 20 miles away is not because it's that far from the origin. It's because something is drawn that at the origin, right? And it could be one of two things. One, or it could be like one of several things, I should say. Oftentimes, there's literally like an XREF or a link or something that's insertion point was at 000, and the AutoCAD file can't find it, so that is still sitting there. If you go in and clean up that CAD file slightly and you make sure there's nothing at the origin, so I usually go to an AutoCAD file, I draw a line from 000, do a zoom to fit, then go do a selection window down by 000 and see what it selects. Sometimes it won't select anything. If that file is truly being geo-referenced, so they've actually set up geolocation in that AutoCAD file, there is a command called georeference off or georeference marker visibility, geomarker visibility, something like that. If the geomarker visibility is on, Revit will see that as something at the coordinates and that will freak it out. You're not removing the georeference, you're just turning it off. I think it's called geomarker or something like that. So geomarker off is the command. The yes, it's the little red wagon wheel thing. Thank you, bud. um, so the other thing that it could be is somebody drew a block or they drew some lines and said create a block for this, make the insertion point here. But in AutoCAD, when you W block something, even though you said the insertion point is the insertion point is here, it still understands that block has a reference back to 000. That is more often than not what I find is happening. So in AutoCAD, if you right click on the screen, you can go quick select. You can select all the blocks, you can explode them, right? And so when I keep getting updates from my engineers, I do this often. I run a purge audit, I turn the geomarker visibility off, I select all the blocks, I explode them. I grab all the hatch patterns personally and I delete them because hatch patterns can be another one of those things. That will get rid of the geometry is more than 20 miles away, right? The jaggedy part is not because there's something drawn that far. It's because AutoCAD is only accurate to 12 digits, right? It's not accurate to 12 decimals. It's accurate to 12 digits. So when civil engineers are working, like you said, thousands of miles away, you all of a sudden now have that 12 digits being like 1 decimal point or maybe like to the tenths, right? So it's not even going to be set up inside of there. So Revit does see that and interpret it, and that's why you get the jaggy things. Personally, for me, I just deal with the graphically jaggedy looking stuff, and I leave it that way because I still want to have that AutoCAD file geo-referenced in. I want to set my shared coordinates up from that. So yeah, it sucks, but Revit understands that when you say like draw something from its endpoint, even though you're graphically on the screen, like hey, I'm going to be selecting over this line right here that's in AutoCAD. It might be snapping over here. It understands that graphically it's screwed up on the screen, but this truly is in the computer world where its endpoint is. I personally leave it that way. I know I've got a lot of people who will just go in and select everything and move it from wherever it is down to 000. They will do that. But then for me, I can't geo-reference everything in, and I would rather geo-reference and have to deal with the crappy, jaggy looking stuff when I print it or move around. So yeah, that's the only way you can do it. I mean, the other big thing is, especially when it's coming from civil engineers, and they almost never do this, ask them to export to AutoCAD. And I know this sounds stupid. Everybody's like, but it's a DWG file. You're correct, but it's a
Mm.
Civil 3D DWG file, not an AutoCAD DWG file. So if the civil engineers can go out and say export to AutoCAD, it will take all of the civil stuff, dumb it down to be AutoCAD stuff. The other thing that there's an option when they export to AutoCAD that they can actually give you 3D stuff if you wanted to. So assuming that they're actually going in and using Civil 3D to draw pipes and pipe networks and things like that, when they export to AutoCAD, it will give you, they have an option to tick, oh, I want to see that geometry in 3D, right? Even though the lines are all drawn in plan and everything's dumb and stupid in plan, 2D graphically, it has the data for 3D. So exporting to AutoCAD gives them that option. They can also export out a tin surface. And honest truth, I find it Revit does a way better job trying to convert topography, toposolids now, using the tin surface than it does trying to use contour lines. Because civil engineers are truly using a tin surface, the contour lines are generated off of that surface. Then if you actually say, cool, I'm bringing in Revit, I'm going to use their contour lines, you're now translating a translation, right? They're translating the tin surface into contour lines. And if you take it from contour lines out to back to points to create a tin surface in Revit, you're doing a double translation. I would rather just start coming in and saying, I would rather go through and just come out and say, cool, this is great, but let me just do it from the tin surface myself. So that's how I usually create my topography. I will say that I think yesterday Autodesk did update their, what is it called? The shared reference point with Civil 3D. If anybody's actually using that, you can use that to try to come up with that stuff. I've not had great luck with it, so I don't really use it that well. Melissa's AI taker is sending all these great things for us because we must be almost the top of the hour.
Apparently. Mm.
So yeah, do ask for that too, bud. Ask for your civil guys to export to AutoCAD, and they probably will have no clue what you're talking about. But I know my cohort, who I do a webcast before this called Civil Chat. He has on his blog somewhere how to export to AutoCAD from Civil 3D.
Yeah. So long way around of saying you don't have a way to do it without cleaning up their file.
No, I always go in and clean up files anyway. I
Yeah,
also
me
do a
too.
select all overkill. I mean, I need to go
Mhm.
create just the freaking macro in AutoCAD because I literally do the same 6 things. I'm really
I
fast.
tend to W block it a lot of times and just pick just the bit I like or want.
Yeah, that works too. But sometimes W blocking will still get the nuanced, especially the proxy entities and things like that too.
Not if you do it right. Come on. I'm just, I haven't had extra stupid after I W block, luckily. Not to say that you can't. Never, never say never. As I sit here unable to use my computer at all because I tried to open a different Revit.
All right, it
I've
looks
now
like
got
we,
I can't get rid of it, but I have the licensing error thing up on my other screen and it's randomly blinking.
yes. Yeah, I was right. That is what it is. I think the last question
Yeah.
we have is from Juliana.
It's a pretty good one. Juliana is asking, have we talked lately about groups versus links? Have preferences changed?
So I have a great example that recently just came up. I know I put this on Blue Sky, I don't know, about a month ago too. So one of the clients I'm working with, they got it from their client. They're like, oh yes, we've done this great scan to BIM process, and we've got all the thing perfectly accurate in our building. And when I opened that file up, there were over 14,000 in-place families, over 14,000 warnings. But the part I didn't tweet about is they also had something like 6,000 groups or something like that inside of there. And it just blew me away because I think what it
Okay.
was, I did all these little scan to BIM pieces, and then they brought those little scan to BIM pieces together. They were all linked. And then I think they bound those links and left them. Um,
Ah.
so
Ooh.
the big thing I want to say is that file was completely unusable, right? And so I was going to go in and start cleaning up all the in-place families and stuff first, and then I realized there were so many groups. When I ungrouped all of the groups, I was able to use the file again. And I know Parallax uses a lot of groups, and I'm not saying don't use groups, but I will say excessive use of groups can absolutely slow Revit down massively.
Yeah,
I've been
maybe
saying
not
this,
6,000.
yeah, not 6,000, right? It was ridiculous amount of groups in there. So I am still of a person, I'm not saying don't use groups, but I see, I will go into projects and see a few hundred groups, and I'm always like, yeah, this project's slow. And I always wonder, if I just had grouped everything, what would that do? I also personally hate it when I go in and see that there's like, of those 600 groups, 500 of them are used one time. I don't understand the point of creating a group if you literally are ever going to use it one time. That's to me is like, yeah, no, if your project's slow, that's the first thing I do. How many groups are being used one time? Let me select all those and hit enter. I know people do. It's like, well, I just want to be able to select these 10 things at once. I don't want to have to grab these and this and that and that. So I group it so it's easier to select. Cool. Then realize you're slowing the entire project down.
Make a
Not,
selection group.
yeah, make a selection group potentially or something like that. Um, but that starts giving me an aneurysm. So I'm not saying don't use groups. I still do use groups. I still do like groups. You have to understand the nuances of groups. Like line-based families cannot be part of a group. They will blow a group up. You can't have something that's a hosted object, like a wall hosted object. If that wall is not within the group, it will blow the group up. So if you understand all those rules and you start creating your content accordingly, people always ask me like, Mackie, why isn't your casework families wall hosted? Because if I use them in a group and the wall is not part of the group, it will blow the group up. So as you build those things, understanding all those little things, it's absolutely fine to use groups to a point. The first time I found this out, it was like way early on in Revit. Firm switched over. They drew 4 lines, detail lines, called that a nightstand. Right. Then they drew like 10 detail lines, grouped that, called it a bed. And then they put the nightstand on 2 sides of the bed, grouped that, and called it single bed unit or whatever. When it was all said and done, again, they had like over 1,000 groups in there, and the project was only like 100 kilobyte file. It was tiny, like sorry, like a 10 meg file. It was tiny, and it was running slower than my clients who had files 6, 7, 8 times bigger. So groups absolutely can have an effect on it. I'm not saying don't use them. I'm just saying understand the consequences of using them. But yes, when I get into like units, I have a lot of clients who group their multifamily units. I have some clients who link them in. It just depends on what you want to do and how you like it. I know Parallax, they do a lot of, hey, we're going to do these units as a group. I also don't like groups blowing up every time I want to do something. Oh, it's a group. I've got to fix the group to work. That just irritates the shit out of me. So I'd rather have it as a link.
Just do it right then. Simple.
Yes, until you, it's like they're all and they're fine. You go edit the group to change one thing. It's like, great, you just blew up half the groups. I've now got to create new groups out of this. Like, oh my God. Let me figure out why this is blowing up. Yeah. So the other thing on that too is if you are going to get into groups, things like that, another solution is like when you're going to go draw a wall, you never want to take a wall up to like the level above. You're like, no, 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 no. I personally don't ever make them unconnected either. I say they're level one with a 12-foot offset or whatever it needs to be. That's what I do with my walls. 2 reasons for that. One, if I ever need to, you can associate a global parameter to top offset. You can associate a global parameter to unconnected height. So then I could actually create a global parameter that would change the heights of those walls if I needed to for whatever reason. So yeah, still there, Juliana. My options still have not changed. God, what font is that? Oh, because I changed my font to be like, what is going on here? I changed it to the Bank Gothic. Oh my
What
God,
is this
it's so
crap?
huge. This text is like literally like that. Wow. That is a giant text. I mean, I didn't really play with that too bad. I mean, I realized it was getting bigger, but it's like twice the size. Sorry, I had to fix that because I was driving me crazy. So that's
Boom.
really all I got. That's what the boss
That's
liked.
what the boss liked. Was the boss blind?
Was the boss blind? I'm blind in one eye, and that's too freaking bright for me. And I sit there and laugh because in my life, in my career, how many hours have I wasted sitting in meetings where everybody's arguing about the font? I just don't care.
Yeah. I,
And I personally don't even care about people's opinions. When somebody says, I want to use this font, I'm like, great, tell me why and give me data of why. Because you can go to any university out there. The one thing that cracks me up, you'll notice that I never use all caps because every study out there says all caps is the hardest thing to read. Period. End of story. You can go look at any study on fonts and text and anything, and that is the worst thing you can do. So none of my template has anything in all caps.
Mm.
Ironically, they say like calligraphy is easier to read because your body then starts to recognize patterns, your brain does. And they'll be like, oh, I can see there's a big swoop here. I know that's a C. This swoop is a P. So you literally don't read. You just start looking at pattern recognition and you can actually go much faster. Rick, I don't have to tell you, bosses, literally go look up font, text, studies. Seriously, go look at it. Harvard's done one. Like every university has done one, and they all say the same damn thing. Hey, all caps is the worst thing you can possibly do. And then we wonder why contractors have so many RFIs. Like, why didn't they read that? It's right freaking there.
We pretty much yelled in their face. Come on. Uh,
Comic papyrus for life. Nice. I literally don't care about the font. Although I can't say I don't care anymore because that's ridiculous. That is just so freaking big.
You've now found the font that you are physically allergic to.
I don't know. I know Aaron and I think we've had this conversation too, Melissa. I just keep sitting here laughing about all the things people talk about. Like I got off of meetings, like three different clients in the last 2 weeks talking about, line weights. And I'm like, I am the
Hmm.
worst person to ask about line weights. You know why? Because in Revit, I work in thin lines. And you know what? I print a PDF and Bluebeam has disabled line weights as well. I never look at line weights. So choose
Yeah,
whatever you want. I don't really care, but in the digital world, line weights don't matter because I never see them anymore. So I don't know. There's things like that. The other thing that I've also talked about is why do we care about sheet sizes anymore? 90% of our project, I know
hmm,
we've got jurisdictions who care, but it's like 90%
yeah.
of our projects we're delivering even to jurisdictions now in PDF form. Who cares if the sheet's 6 feet by 12 feet? If I can get it on a single floor plan, that's what I do. But
I've had those sheets for historic buildings where you just kind of
yeah,
roll it across the entire room.
yeah, you're kind of like, okay, I didn't care it was a 12 foot. I don't know. I laugh because I had a
Yeah.
client in a project, it's a pretty large project, eighth inch scale, 36 by 48 sheet. They had to have 48 sectors. I'm like, and you're bouncing from sheet to sheet to sheet to find what you need. Man, I'm in a PDF. I would rather just be able to pan and zoom. I don't care.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah, 48 sector plans or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. And then the other thing that like Jason asked the question earlier, font sizes, etc. I have a lot of I have like tags built into like doors and stuff that I call my QA tag
Hmm.
that has really, really, really tiny text on it. Because I got tired of having to select this to see the damn properties. Why not just have it right there in the data? So my working views,
Yeah.
I go tag all of this stuff with my QA tags. I have QA tags for almost everything. Because what do I care if this is extra there in my views? Then I don't have to select it to see the properties of those things. It's just right there. I tried making it really, really small once, like, oh, somebody's got a fat line weight for this. That's about the same height. So I tried like making it go around in the box. So it was like the box was actually more data, but it won't let me go. There's a minimum size you can put in a font, and whatever this is that minimum size.
And you hit it.
3/256 of an inch.
Nice.
And 16 inches is the tallest you can because you need 16-inch tall text on a screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh, if I could have went like a little smaller, I could have just made this look like the box that goes around and called it a day.
Well, don't
I don't
tell
know.
Rick's boss that you can have 16-inch text.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. To me, I do things like this all the time because everybody's still in that hand-drawn mindset or that AutoCAD mindset
Hmm.
of only put data in one location. And I'm like, why? It all updates in Revit. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
probably a metric equivalent. If you actually Google the metric equivalent of
Or
team,
points.
yeah, or font point or something. But I don't know. To me, it's kind of like why not tag doors in elevation? Why not tag doors? I mean, you do have the added labor of putting that data
Mhm.
in, so I do have to tag the doors in an elevation, but the data can be there. I can put the data in the tag down here. I can do whatever I want to do. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
I would fight a lot against the don't tag things or don't put information in more than one view, but it's like if it's Revit and it's the exact same element, it's going to be right.
you have the
Don't tag it
labor
if
of putting those things down, and I get that, right? So now every time I create an elevation, do I need to tag
no
those
tag
doors?
all.
But again, there's a tag all, so I don't give a shit. There's just
Yeah,
certain things that it's like, yeah,
I get it when it was hand drawing and you might
understood.
forget to update it somewhere, but yeah, exactly, Sarah. It's either right or wrong everywhere, but at
Well, the
least it's
nice part about
consistent.
it is if it's in more locations, you'll notice it's wrong. If you only
Hmm.
have it in one location, you might forget to go back and look to see if you updated it, and boom,
Yeah.
somebody can red light it. The sad part about doing what I have found is I had one firm switch that, then the upper management didn't know was when it was wrong, circling it in every single view. It's like, dude, you
Oh,
took this thing once,
glass.
change the door data, and it will fix it everywhere. You don't need to circle it in every time that door is seen. All righty, we're now 8 minutes past. Thank you,
Woo.
everyone. Somebody actually said, will you be recording this? That did come up earlier. Yes, I'll be recording. I think I forgot to put last month's on my YouTube channel. So I will put it on the Revit Geeks YouTube channel as soon as it gets done processing. So hopefully that'll be tomorrow. Otherwise,
Woo.
thanks everyone for being here, and I will see you next month. And have a happy 4th. Come back with all your fingers and toes. And have a happy Friday for you, Melissa, since you're not in the States.
Not Friday.
All right, thanks everyone.